For fuck's sake. That is so fucking annoying. I'm so disappointed that I didn't have sound then. I feel like literally packing up and going home.
You are home.
I know. That's part of the joke.
Sake.
Oh. Well, that sucks. So sorry about that. Haven't had sound this whole time. You can just see me mouthing all the words. That's very, very annoying. Anyway.
You're gonna have to start again now. Almost. I'm sorry.
I said so much. Oh, that sucks. Very, very, very frustrating. So, look, I'll at least go through the components here again with audio. We've got the Ryzen 5600, so the non-X version. We've got MSI B550 Pro VDH Wi-Fi motherboard. We've got 16 gigabytes of ADATA XPG memory. We've got a 500 gigabyte NVMe SSD. We've got a 1 terabyte hard drive. We've got the same graphics card from yesterday, the RX 6600. And we've got the same power supply from yesterday. It's ASA 650 watt. We're going to be putting in the same case as yesterday. So what I was talking about, that you couldn't hear me talking about, was how it will be interesting to see today how this much better CPU and motherboard goes with the 6600X compared to yesterday. Oh. Well, that was just horrible. I can't believe that happened. That sucks.
Anyway, Edward says, hi, hello, ask. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can ask
Fire
something.
away.
Fire away.
James says, what happened? Well, we didn't have audio.
Didn't have audio for the sound, and I was like crapping on about shit for like 5 minutes without any audio. And because we're streaming in the middle of the day, not as many people are watching, so no one told me until it was too late. I had the CPU in the motherboard, and then we worked it out that we had no sound. So that's just terrible. We should be better than this by now. We should be better than this, but we're not.
Still not this.
We're just not streamers. We fell into this. Yep.
James says they also get a cat. Damn lucky. That's a steal of an order. No.
Yeah, there's a fluffy cat included. You get all the hair and everything with him. It's so good. Alright, so all we got to do here is just plug in. Yeah.
Edward wants to know what's the best way or where to put fans on the Xiaomi case of Razer.
For a Leon Lee, well, my recommendation for all Leon Lee D11 cases is a 9-fan configuration, where you've got cool air in the bottom and a radiator mounted to the top of the case, and the other fans on the side, they're sort of just for show. You can leave them completely empty if you want. There'd just be a big gaping hole in the side of your case. So you put the 3 fans on the side, they're just for show. It's not really part of the airflow direction of the case. So cool air in the bottom, heat out the top. Ideally, radiator at the top. If you have that configuration, you won't have any problems. You can run those 3 fans on the internal wall. Just forget about them. Put them on the lowest RPM possible. They don't even need to be there. They're just there for show. Because the principle that you're working with when it comes to airflow through a case is limited obstruction and basically volume of air in equals volume of air out. So 3 fans on the top, obstructed a little bit by the radiator. You can make that up with the fans on the sidewall, and that's why they can just run at the lowest speed all the time. And then the 3 fans on the bottom pushing cool air into the case. So that is what you want ideally. If you go with any other fan configuration than that, yeah, you're potentially not getting the best performance out of it. Like if you try to make the 3 fans on the side there, if you try to make them your cool air intake and have nothing on the bottom and then something on the top, it's sort of a little bit less ideal. You're not blowing cool air directly onto the graphics card, and the graphics card is obviously one of the main things that's going to generate some heat for you. Yeah. Oh, we'll see the thing is,
You've got to turn the mic on,
yeah.
and sometimes we need to check that.
No.
It says, can I order a cat case with a case would be nice and soft.
a fluffy case. Yes,
I don't know
yes.
if that'd be good for thermals.
No, it's not ideal. It's not ideal for temperatures. Alright. Yep. No, that's alright, man. That's alright. Happy to help. Alrighty, so we got our M2 in the bottom slot. We'll leave that top slot open in case the customer wants to do an upgrade. We've utilised this little bit here on the AMD on our cooler to tuck most of our cable away. And then you don't have a skanky cable sticking out. So that's all looking pretty good. Now we're going to turn our attention to the case. So the fluffy cat will probably want to go on his own once I start screwing around with this too much.
What's going on, mate?
Oh, pulled a big tuft of fluffy cat fur out there.
He's not even bothered. Do you want me to come to him or?
Might be fun if we leave him on the top there and do the build with him on the top maybe. Can I build a cat? Can I build a PC with a cat on top of the case?
No.
Nah, he's going now.
He touched his paws with the cable and he's like, ugh.
Fluffy cat, what's all this, hey? He's seriously looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing to that thing? It was fine, he says. It was completely fine. Well, actually, no, mate. It wasn't actually fine. It was kind of not done. Yeah.
CJ says may need to make the desk a bit sturdier.
Oh yeah, everyone bitches about that. Everyone bitches about that. Yeah, you can ask another question, man. I encourage questions. He's not quite on the motherboard. He's sitting right next to it.
Nick says you're Tim and Chris and you Apprentice Cat.
Ah, yes, yes. Hey Mick, how you going? Mick's an old school fan. He's been here from pretty much the beginning. Alrighty, so we've got our 1 terabyte hard drive screwed in there.
CJ says we disagree with
What's that? Sorry.
It's great and informative video.
Oh yeah, I try to be when I have the freaking audio on. That's always helpful. You know, you learn more when you can hear things.
Yeah.
Being hearing impaired would be a learning difficulty, right? And so yeah, I encourage questions and stuff like that. So if you have questions, yeah, you can communicate with me during the live stream, and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. And if I don't know something, I'll ask you. If I don't know something off the top of my head, or I'm not 100% confident in what I have in my head, I will go and find out for you and message you back. But the condition is you got to message me first. If not, I'm not going to remember. Okay? That's just the way that it goes. So it's not me being lazy, it's just that I get a lot of messages every day, and I'm the one who responds to them all. So I don't have a person who I can just sit there to do quotes for PCs for me. And yeah, finding someone like that and paying them would be, yeah, a hard thing to do, right? Yeah.
Edward says, you know that PCI slot on the bottom of the motherboard, both my slots are full, and if I only empty it for the other side fans, I can't. The motherboard got no more PCI slots.
More PCI slots for what? For fans?
What?
PCI slots are... Okay. Christine says I've got to read it myself. You know that PCI slot on the bottom of the motherboard, both slots are full, and if I buy a new NZX T1 for the other side fans, the motherboard got no more PCIe slots. So I think there's a little bit of a misconception there, because let me just come around the front here. So the PCI slots, or the PCIe slots, are these ones. Are you referring to these USB 2s typically found down the bottom there? Are you referring to the RGB headers? Because like you shouldn't have to, like a fan controller for NZXT shouldn't have to plug in there.
It says yes, sorry.
Oh, you mean the USB 2s? So, I will show you what you can get. So you can get one of these.
USB.
Yeah. So you can go and get one of these. So look up this product, Thermaltake H200 Plus internal USB hub. So what this thing is, it has 3 normal USB. Oh, sorry. It's got 3 normal USB and then 3 internal USB. So the same connection that's on the bottom of the motherboard. So obviously you can get cables that go from a standard USB to an internal USB. So it's actually a 6 USB device hub all up. But you can turn one of those USB headers into 3 with this box. So if you wanted to use those controllers specifically, however, you shouldn't have to use the NZXT controller. I believe the RGB is just generic. I could be wrong. I don't use a lot of NZXT because it's generally a little bit more expensive than some other brands. So I only use them if we get one of the coolers. Yeah.
This is, yeah, we took a picture and this is, yes, nice, all my problems are solved, and thank you a lot.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, check that out. I always keep a heap of them around in case I need one, in case a customer comes into me with their computer with that particular problem. So I got a little stash of them behind me there, because with RGB and stuff these days, those USB 2 headers can be in a bit short supply, and especially with Leon Lee Strimmers now requiring that USB 2 header, it takes it away if you've got, say, Corsair or NZXT stuff plugged into them, and it's like really annoying. Yeah.
The dude says I'm gonna laugh when the rake's snapping the desk.
Oh no,
It won't actually
it's
snap
not never.
when
It's never gonna snap. It's never gonna snap because it's a metal frame. I'm not even sure why it wobbles so much, because it's a solid piece metal frame.
It has a bar.
It's got three. It's got two bits on the side which are in a Z shape, and then it has three metal bars that go the whole width of the desk for support. Two of them are at the top. One of them is like at my knee height. So I'm not really sure why it wobbles as much as it does. Okay, but it's not going to fall over. All right, it's not going to snap. The only thing that might happen is this tempered glass desk might at some stage snap. Sorry, or shatter, I should say. But yeah, that could potentially break. The frame of it is not going to break. Okay, it's welded aluminium. It's not going to just break for no reason. It's painted black. So yeah.
Nick says his video produces the 49ers don't burn at the house. I love the 49ers. I don't know, really.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the 4090s, guys. So there's been a bit of an investigation done on all this stuff, and yeah, there's nothing to fear with the 4090s. So what was happening was people basically weren't plugging in the adapter all the way, and it's only happening with some of the adapters, not every brand. Okay. So it was never a case. There was never a case where like every single person with 4090 was having their fucking card potentially go up in flames. That never happened. But yeah, not Hardware Unboxed. Gamers Nexus actually had a good positive report there where they went through it and they tested it, and the only way they could get it to start melting was to partially unplug the connector from the graphics card. So if you've got a 4090, that's what you got to watch out for. If you knock that connector and it becomes like sort of like partially plugged in, that can lead to the temperature issue. That was the only way that Gamers Nexus were able to get it to burn up. So what's up? Stream on Facebook as well. So most of my business is through Facebook, just because it's great, easy, instant messaging app, good marketing and stuff like that. Christine has to do a build. Yeah, definitely.
Everyone wants to know if you can buy stuff from me.
Yeah, you can buy stuff from me. The only thing you consider if you're buying stuff from me is that, like, with PC parts, like, you don't, even when you buy wholesale and when you buy in bulk, the discounts aren't as much as what you would think. Okay, so for example, it pretty much works like this. If I go and buy 10 of an item, I might have a chance of getting one item for free. However, the items will not be at some special magical wholesale price that's like 30% cheaper than like retail. It'll basically be buy 10 at the cost of retail, and then we'll give you one free for your efforts of buying 10. So, like, you could buy parts from me, but it's pretty much going to be like just a standard retail price. I won't be able to get you any sort of special deals on new parts and stuff like that. And that's just the nature of the industry, unfortunately. There's not really a great deal of discounts in it, unless you're buying 100 at a time. And of course, I'm never going to be buying 100 of certain things at a time, just to get a little bit of a discount. Doesn't really make sense to outlay that much cash on things just to make a small little profit. And plus, I don't want to have to invest in the space to store a whole heap of stuff, and I don't want to ever be in a situation where the market conditions change and then I'm stuck with a whole heap of stock that I purchased under different market conditions at a higher price, and then I've either got to lose a whole heap of money on the stock that I bought, or I've got to I've basically got to yeah, sell it for a high price when everyone else has it for a cheaper price. And I don't want to be doing that either. I'd much rather, you know, something happen in the market and then instantly, like 2 hours later, my prices are already dropped as a result of it, because all part prices have now dropped because of whatever. Like that happened back in March with 30 series graphics cards. Okay, so we've got a couple of bolts there in our motherboard, and we got some cables to run down the back. So this one here is our front panel audio. So this is for the speaker and microphone jack on the front of our case. It's becoming almost a little bit redundant these days. And here's our USB 2s. So yeah, just as I think it was Edward was asking before about the USB 2s and the USB 2 hub that you can buy, because that'll solve all your problems. But yeah, you should be able to, the NZXT fans, the fan part, you should be able to plug them into your motherboard if you've got the available fan headers. And the RGB, sure they just use generic RGB, but I could be wrong. I could just be. I could just be tripping. NZXT, I only ever buy NZXT stuff just from Newmart, because the distributor, yeah, they're not at Leader, I don't think. And Leader's the main wholesale distributor I buy from. Okay. So, without making you feel too silly, the water doesn't really do the cooling. Water coolers are still cooled by air, because you still have to have the fans attached to the radiator, so it's still air cooled. The water's a vector of heat transfer. So, just in case people don't know what a vector is something that transfers. It's something that, yeah, basically the water is pumped over the CPU block, which puts out heat, which heats up the water, which goes up to the radiator and is fed through the radiator while air is moving through the radiator, which cools the water, and then the cool water goes back over the CPU and heats up again. So the water is just doing the job of transferring the heat between the CPU and the fans on the radiator. So it's all still cooled by air. You've got to remember that a liquid cooler is just an engineering solution to an engineering problem. Okay, so like the physical size of coolers that they were attaching to CPUs on motherboards was getting big. They were getting as big as my head, and with that was causing like flexing and bending of the actual PCB, the motherboard itself. And engineers basically like, hang on, why don't I just put a radiator on top of the case, and why don't I just get a pump and just pump water around in a loop?
It's like your radiator car in your car.
It's exactly like the radiator in your car. So it's just the water isn't really doing the cooling. It's the air traveling through your radiator that's doing the cooling. The water is just that vector of heat transfer. So yeah, not trying to make anyone feel silly when I say that or anything like that. Yeah, it's one of those things that you won't realise until you think about it. Then you think about it and you're like, oh fuck, that's so obvious. Why didn't I think of that kind of thing? But no, so don't feel too bad. I'm definitely not trying to be condescending or anything like that to anyone. So sometimes I feel when I explain things to people that I might sound a little bit condescending in my tone, and trust me, I do not mean to do that if I come across like that. Yeah, definitely not my intention. Okay, so I've got this bunch of SATA cables here. I'm just going to tie them up and stick them underneath the hard drive, because I've just got the hard drive and one other SATA power cable to plug in. But yeah, the air and liquid cooling thing is it's not going to go away, that question. So yeah, don't feel too bad. You're not the first person to ask that question or think about that question, and you're not going to be the last. So yeah. And hopefully, yeah. The more times I get to mention it because I get asked it, yeah, the more other people will get to learn as well.
Tim,
Yeah.
David says, can't wait till it's finished. My son's gonna love it. I gotta go. We'll watch the stream later on. Thanks again.
Hey David, no worries. Yeah, so David hit me up. He's like, oh, can my son watch this after the day? It's a surprise for his birthday. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. All the streams stay up after they're actually broadcast. So yeah, no problems there whatsoever.
Tim,
Yep.
Edward wants to know. Edward says it's the dust that I hate. Is it bad to use a vacuum cleaner on it?
No, that's completely fine. I probably wouldn't use a vacuum cleaner just because you could potentially knock something with the end of the vacuum cleaner. I would use
a hairdryer or cool.
I'd use a hairdryer or a leaf blower, because it's much better to push the dust out and away than try to suck the dust in. So think about the physics of what you're doing, right? Sucking versus blowing. When you're sucking, you've got the end of the nozzle there, and you're creating like a pressure deficit around the edge of the nozzle, but it's like sort of 360 degrees around the nozzle where it's sucking from. And then you got the inverse square law that applies with this. So what that means is every time we move like 2 units of distance away, we reduce the sucking force by like 4 times. That's how it scales, kind of thing. Roughly. Don't get too technical. It's just an example to understand the concept. But yeah, it is much more efficient and easier and just better to blow air out. Because when you blow, it'll get underneath the motherboard, it'll get right through the cooler there. You watch, heaps of dust will come out. And so you might be thinking, oh shit, is that like bad? Is it dangerous? Not at the pressures used with a leaf blower, okay? You'll be fine with any of that. I've never had a problem where I've never had a capacitor get blown off a motherboard from using a leaf blower on a computer. However, I've seen people knock little chips off their motherboard from using a vacuum cleaner on their PC.
Yeah, but if you hold the leaf blower too close to it, it's still gonna.
Yeah, I mean, you could potentially do that, but usually the nozzle on a vacuum cleaner can be metal, whereas typically the end of a leaf blower will be plastic, so there's that. But you won't have to, with a leaf blower, you'll never have to get the nozzle right up to the board to do the cleaning. You can hold it about 10 centimetres away at all times, and it will do just as good a job. So, yeah, so anyone who thinks that that'll like cause a problem probably hasn't done it before. So I know another guy who's older than me and has been doing this for longer than me, who's been using a leaf blower for like 20, 30 years on computers, and he's never had an issue where he's broken one. So that's pretty much all I need to know about it. I've been using a leaf blower on computers for about 5 or 6 years now. I've never had a problem either. So I used to use that stupid canned air stuff, and then I was like, then I found out it was actually like environmentally harmful, and I was like, surely there's a better way. And then I came across the leaf blower method, and I was just like, wow, that's so simple. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, no stupid canned air and all that. It's not even air, it's like a freaking...
It's some sort of like alcohol of sorts, isn't it?
No, it's like some sort of solvent gas type thing.
Yeah.
It's not just air under pressure.
No. It can like corrode things.
No, it can't corrode anything. It's fine. It's fine in terms of like safety on your components and stuff. It's just bad because it's like a greenhouse gas. That's what I came to discover. They have to use some sort of propellant in there to make it like work properly. So yeah, don't use that if you've got a choice. I certainly wouldn't be using it just because it costs money, right? Gotta be a better way. Alright, so I've got a couple more screws to put in the motherboard. But that is pretty much done. And so yeah, the interesting thing about this little one here today will be to compare the benchmarks with the 6400 system from yesterday. And so no one's bought that one yet. Been a fair few inquiries. No doubt people they're looking at Christmas, they're thinking of what they're going to get their kids. It'll definitely disappear. I mean, I've got it about half the price of this rig. However, this rig does include a monitor and a keyboard and mouse and stuff like that. But still, this is twice as much as the price of the second-hand one, and it's definitely not going to be twice the performance of the second-hand one. However, you get the peace of mind of having the warranty there on this. That's the advantage of a new PC. Buy a new PC, then if something goes wrong with it, you can just bring your PC back to me, and I'll swap out the bad part for a new part. And that's great. It's like, honestly, it's the best peace of mind to know that when you spend all this money on your rig, that if any warranty issues happen, you don't have to stuff around, you don't have to concern yourself with it. You're just like, looks like the graphics card's dead, or looks like the motherboard's dead. Oh, let's just bring it back to Tim, we'll let him know what's going on, and then we'll make a time and bring it in, and he'll swap that part out and get us on our way. That's a good peace of mind thing to have.
Sorry, but the chick from Theranos.
Yeah, 11 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Elizabeth Holmes from Theranos. So if you don't know what Theranos is, look it up. THRNOS.
11.25 years.
Yeah. So she's an absolute con artist of the worst degree, and she ran this fake company that said that they would be able to do a full range of blood tests from just one little drop of blood, like literally like prick your finger like a diabetes test, and that little drop of blood, we can do like 20 different blood tests just on that little drop of blood. And if you're thinking, that sounds really, really cool, it doesn't work. And she actually fooled a heap of people, even other doctors she fooled with this shit. That's sort of the funniest part about it all, right? Is that the doctors even fell for it. I mean, that's surprising to me, because a doctor should be kind of skeptical enough and have a good enough knowledge of how the process was to go, hang on a second, there's big problems with you trying to get a whole heap of tests done from that one tiny drop of blood. But she did it, and she conned investors out of billions of dollars, and she had all this stuff going on. She was obsessed with Steve Jobs to the point where she dressed the same with the turtleneck sweaters and stuff. And the craziest thing about Elizabeth Holmes was that she put on this deep baritone voice. So she sort of talked like this every time. She just put on this really weird baritone voice. And for some reason, it just kind of conned investors. And they were just like, wow, look at this blonde chick with the deep voice, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's this fake deep voice, like what I was doing. You can tell that's not my normal voice, right? Yeah. So, anyway, look it up. She's finally been held, put to justice.
Yeah, she won't be in jail until April though. She's got to give birth to a second kid.
Yep.
And then she goes to jail.
Yeah, absolute fucking idiot, Elizabeth Holmes. Look her up. Oh, no. It's all good. It's all good. Just need one more cable tie here, just around our spare PCIe cable coming off our graphics card. Just so that stays all nice and neat there. Okay, we'll need BIOS update on this. Alrighty, so power on time. So our lighting is controlled from the front there, and just so everyone can see, the included controller here on these fans will do the rainbow function, so you can have that multicolored goodness. So if you're wondering why do I always have the rainbow up here and stuff, it's the most popular. Male, female, everyone. It's the most popular. Whether people want to admit it to their friends or not. Okay? After rainbow, the next most popular colour is white, just pure white, and then just pure red. So that's the top three colour schemes. So I'm not being biased. I'm just looking at the data and just giving the people what they want. Okay, are we posting? I think we're posting. Okay. Oh, no, we don't have to enter flash mode, because this BIOS is already up to date. It has version 2.0, which is exactly the version that I have on our motherboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and activate our XMP profile for memory. and reset, and we'll get Windows installed. To make a very, very awesome birthday present for a young fella. Now, I remember being a young kid myself. I remember getting the first PC from my dad. My dad bought me the very first generation of Celeron. Ah, early Celeron. I was so excited. At first I thought it was like a Pentium, which used to be like the good ones, and I was like real excited. I was like, wow, I got a Pentium! And then I was like, Celeron? What the fuck is this? It's the Pentium logo, but it has a different word there. And then I worked out that, it's not quite as good. But I didn't care because I was like 8, 9 years old, and I was just like, wow, I got a computer! I think it was probably because my parents were sick of me going onto their computer and fucking around with the shit, that they were just like, nah, we've got to get him his own, so not like constantly fighting this kid for the computer, and he's not constantly fucking up our shit. Alrighty, so there's our main NVMe SSD there. Okay. Do we have any spare stickers or anything? Oh yeah, I do. Yes, I do. I've got some cool extra stuff that the young fella can have. Some stickers and some little key tag things for bags. Yep. Yeah. So that was a question that got asked to me just the other day. So lighting does not contribute significant to PC heat. Okay. If you've ever seen like LED lights compared to like old school bulbs, like just the household bulb, go and like touch your hand to one that's got LEDs in it after like an hour, and go touch one that's got the old school incandescent or whatever they call it globe after an hour, and you get the first degree burn from one, and then the other one's just kind of like a cool warmth. And so just imagine what that one with just the cool warmth has after an hour. Imagine that inside a fan where there's air moving all around it. It doesn't even get hot. And then you've got like graphics cards that heat up to like 70 plus degrees and just blow the air through this big heat sink out into the case. It's not even comparable. If we were talking about like how much units of heat were being pushed in from the lights versus everything else. What do we got here? Fixing this drive. No. Yeah. Ah, 386. Nice, nice. So yeah, my first computer that I remember like knowing enough to know the specs. We had a 286, and then we upgraded in like probably like 1992 or 3. We upgraded to a 486DX. That is the one that the 66 megahertz. Yep, 66 megahertz, man. And so that's the 486DX was what we had before the Pentium 1 was released. And so we didn't get the Pentium 1. Mum kept the 486DX for ages because she just needed it for word processing while she was at uni. That was the main reason why she had it. Are you looking up some stuff, babe?
Yeah, I wanted to know.
Oh, the 486 or the 286? Oh, the 386. So what we're talking about is a CPU and motherboard chipset here, not an actual. The machine would have had different cases and different styles that would have been in, but that was the chip. That was what made the magic happen. Yeah, that looks like Windows 3.1. Yeah, so that's what we had. 2.0. So Windows 2. Yeah, I can't quite see it from here. But yeah, Windows 2, Windows 3, Windows 3.1, Windows 3.15. They went a bit crazy with all that. Okay. Yeah.
Right, this is my first PC. It was a BBC Micro with an Apple Mac.
Oh wow, yeah, we're going back to the 80s
First
then.
and ever last. First and last ever Mac.
Original Apple burns. Original Apple burns, not modern Apple burns. Oh, do you want to know something funny? Apple is going to be sourcing American-made TSMC chips. So they had the big breakup with Intel, and then they tried to make their own chips, and now they're like, oh, well, fuck it, I'm going to get my own chips with blackjack and hookers. It's just hilarious if you're not an Apple fan. Yeah. Oh wow, Monopoly! Oh, that would have been sick. I didn't have Monopoly till Windows. I loved playing Monopoly. I used to get so angry when the computer would just fuck me. But
Cheating!
stupid computer. Yeah. Very nice. And are you satisfied with the system? Like, obviously it's not the greatest possible specs that you can have, but are you satisfied with like what you paid for it, the performance you're getting out of it, etc.? I would imagine you are, because I would rate this better than like way better than like a 1650 or a 1660 or something like that. I'd much prefer this than that, and they're about the same price these days, which is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so we're all up to date over there. We'll get MSI Center. We'll get Windows updates. So we should already have 22H2 on here from the install, because I've updated my USB sticks. Doesn't really make sense for ordinary people to bother updating their Windows USB sticks, but when you do what I do, it makes things way more efficient if you've got one less big update to download. I also need R23. R213. So why does something called Cinebench come up when I type in R23? R23 is the version number, and it's very specific, naming for the version number. It's like nothing else in the Microsoft Store that comes up if you type in R23. So it's just a little lazy thing that I do to save a couple of milliseconds. And let's get some other software down here. Ha! I just saw the unzipped BIOS file on the USB stick just then, babe. I just saw the unsticked BIOS file. Oh, look at that! Check this out. It's like stuck there.
Why?
Something's wrong with my USB drive. Let's start that one again. This is just because it hasn't installed the correct USB drivers yet by default from Windows Update. So it's a little bit unstable here at first. It's nothing to worry about. These sort of problems will come up and it will get corrected. There we go. Graphics card driver. Oh, and it might have HDCP on by default there, babe. Yeah. Don't go anywhere, guys. So a little fun thing about the word guys, right? Don't you if you make content, don't ever use the word guys in pre-recorded content. Only ever use guys in live chat when you're communicating to actual people who are there in a group. Because when you make content that's not live, right, there's no guys. You're talking to an individual who's staring at their phone or sitting in their room watching YouTube on their computer or TV or something like that. It's very rarely a group of people that you're talking to when it's pre-recorded. When it's live streamed, it's a bit different. There'll be a group of people watching and stuff like that. Yeah. Haha, that's awesome. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's get some other software installed here. So everything I install here is either stuff that's really common, like Google Chrome and VLC Media Player, and then the other ones are like gaming apps, like Battle.net, Epic Games, Steam and Origin, and then the other ones are just really small background apps here. Like here we go, CPU-Z. It just tells you information about your CPU, motherboard, and all the stuff you got plugged into it. And it's a 2 megabyte file, so not going to be a big problem there. Then we've got Crystal Disk Info and Disk Mark. So we could do the simple version of Crystal Disk, or we could do the fancy anime version of Crystal Disk. I normally do the fancy anime version. It's only 100 meg, so it's not a large amount of data. And Crystal Disk Info, very handy app to have because it tells you the status and health of your storage devices. So it'll tell you how much life your hard drive or SSD has left. Thermark I use in the stress test. So once I hand over your computer, you can uninstall Thermark. You don't need it for anything. Hardware monitor, and so this does exactly what the name says. only this is even less. This is a little over 1 megabyte. And we've got a Radeon card, so I'll install the Adrenaline Suite. No Corsair. No. MSI Afterburner. So this is good software. It allows you to adjust a lot of things on your graphics card. Yeah, it's overclocking software, but it also allows you to adjust the fan speed on your graphics card. And it will also come with Tuner, which is the on-screen display, the stats overlay that I use when I run the benchmarks. So very important and handy software to have. Origin, it's a gaming app, EA related games. So not all of this stuff needs to be installed. Some stuff is just on there for me. We need Epic. So it's Tuner, part of MSI Afterburner. Steam. The Netflix of games. Right, so yeah, these ones here, these are our benchmarks that we run. So obviously I don't download like games and stuff from like my personal Steam account onto customers' computers to run actual gaming benchmarks and stuff. We just run the same sort of standard benchmarks here that I can install nice and quickly and run on their own.
Some US and Australian scientists were studying some octopus down in Jeremy's Bay,
Yeah.
and they noticed that these in this particular area there was a heap like congregating in the same area, about 10 or so.
Yeah.
And usually they're like pretty solitary animals, but these ones were sort of like getting angry at
Yep.
each other and throwing things.
Throwing things at each other.
Yeah.
Octopi.
Yeah.
Wow.
They change colour and become aggressive.
Yeah. That's
They were filmed over a few days.
when they change color. That's like a fight or flight response. They're either running away and trying to hide.
They can potentially throw some sort of a few body lengths in front of them.
Oh wow.
You know, like the scientists are like doing this underwater, even for a short distance, and especially in a regional part, have to do this is even more sharp, making it an even more sharp behaviour.
Okay.
How occupied would try and block, like the ones being hit with stuff, they would observe to like try and stop it from being with stuff and try and duck out of the way and whatnot.
Not true. Okay, we're nearly done. We'll just set up MSI Afterburner quickly and then we'll do our necessary reboot. So yeah, no, you don't have to restart your computer after every single reboot. Every time it says you need to restart your computer, you can just wait until later. Okay.
I know how I feel about that.
What? Oh yeah, they're the new Thermaltake fans. Don't you like them? They're the opposite. I like them. I reckon they look cool. Christine's not impressed. All right. Okay, so what do we got? I think I got a problem with Reaver Tuner. It didn't seem like it installed properly. So all we got to do, if Reaver's Tuner doesn't install properly, is just reinstall the MSI Afterburner app. Ugh. Okay, get all that going on. What's going on here? I'm still having problems downloading that. Are you serious? Alright, let's set up that hard drive there. Do that quickly. Okay. So something was going on there. Yep. Okay. So once we get all the correct drivers on here, we should be all good to go. And then what have we got coming up? We have some other stuff we're going to be working on next. Ugh. And then tonight, I think we've got a 3080 on tonight. That's a white lion. Is his name Kimber?
No, his name's Moya.
Moya. What does that mean?
I don't know, he lives in South Africa, so he's in a sanctuary.
Okay. Alright, so all these ones here, these are just background processes. These are apps that start up and annoy you. Phone Link's pretty good. If you haven't used Microsoft Phone Link, I would recommend giving that a go. It's the missing link in your life, because what it will do is it'll give you access to your messages and photos on your phone on your computer, and vice versa. So if you want to send someone a picture on your computer by SMS, you can do it all from your computer. So I can text people just through Windows now. So obviously an issue there if you're concerned about privacy and stuff. Not really an issue for most people though. And when I say an issue for privacy, I just mean an issue with Microsoft will technically be able to read your messages if they wanted to. Keyword there, if they wanted to. Most people aren't. They matter. Okay. Well, let's give MSI Afterburner one more try. See if we can get the correct stuff up here. Okay, will things download properly now?
Stupid idea.
What's that?
It's an automatic delivery car.
Yeah, that's going to happen. Like, it will. Why do you not think that'll happen?
Well, yeah, but be easy to, like, steal from them.
You can work that out. You can lock them up and stuff like that. Locked compartments. You scan your ID or your card to open up at your address. Only stops at your address. They're going to automate the delivery of food to people's houses for sure. That is something that will definitely get automated.
Kind of do that now, with, like, drones and shit.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, some company that started up this, they just made off 20% of their workforce.
Oh, yeah, it's probably a little bit with the current infrastructure is a problem. You gotta like have them work around pedestrians and cars. It's just not set up for it yet. It'll definitely happen though, so they're not idiots for doing it. It's not like the Hyperloop. Okay, let's have a look at it now. We should be all good. Looks like we're all good. So, after all that, let's actually run some benchmarks. So heaven, high, no anti-aliasing. And so that number there below RAM is how many frames a second it's running at. Oh yeah, looks like it's running approximately 5% faster than with the 6400. So that CPU's done a little bit of difference, but it's still a 6600, right? Yeah. Yes, I know. I let everyone know what.
Proper insertion.
Yeah, of course they will. Yeah, there's no issue. But yeah, the thing is, it's basically, it's a lot of it's user error. But there's going to be a lot of people who are pissed off about that because they'll be like, I've been building my own computers for years, I don't make mistakes. I've built like 20 computers. Sorry. But yeah, there's a guy who's launched a class action lawsuit, and part of his lawsuit is claiming that he knows how to put computers together. He's done it before. So just because you put PCs together before doesn't mean you didn't make a mistake this time. I think Nvidia's going to be able to settle out of court for that one. Just saying. That will definitely go to mediation. Yes. Okay. So that was Heaven. High with no anti-aliasing. Next we'll run Valley.
Ha. FDA has approved lab grown meat for the first time in the US.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Just looking. Make it looks tasty. Looks like meat.
Hmm.
I'm hungry. Whatever. We'll go for the fish chip shop.
Oh.
What? What?
This customer has bought me his parts. He's bought the wrong motherboard. He's got an Intel motherboard and AMD CPU.
Oh, fuck. Well, guess that's not happening now.
No, he's got an AMD board in here. He's got an AMD board in here. We're just not going to use this.
Probably wanted a new board. I bought a new board.
Well, he doesn't need a new board.
Maybe you should contact the customer.
Well, we certainly can't do anything with this board. He can bring it, he got it at Umart. He can take it back and he can get an exchange through Umart, but Umart can, it's up to them whether they want to honour a refund to him or just give him a store credit. That's the problem.
Contact the customer, see what he wants you to do. Legos released their tallest ever set.
What's up?
Legos released their tallest ever Lego set. It's the Eiffel Tower. It's got 10,001 pieces.
Ah, okay. Okay, sorry about that. I'm just talking to the customer about his predicament here. Alrighty, so I'm gonna exchange this CPU for Allmate tomorrow, and we'll get one that goes with this motherboard. It's a problem. You got the B560 and then you got the B550. It sounds pretty much the same, but one's Intel, one's AMD, so it's an easy mistake to make. Alrighty, so that was all good. Alrighty. Well, we were going to be doing this today, but it looks like we won't be. So all we got to do is the stress test on this one. And then we'll be back. I think we've got a 3080 coming up tonight. I can't remember what graphics card it is. I think it's a 3080. But that'll be a bit later. Okay. So we'll let this one run for 90 minutes. So our CPU there can go up to 95 degrees, and our graphics card hotspot can go up to 100 degrees, and the other one there, global, which would just be the GPU temperature, that can go up to 83 degrees. So plenty of headroom there. Okay, so look, that'll probably be it. So, thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all just a bit later in the next video.